Nigerians have been so victimized to the point that it has led to trauma. So their trauma response fuse is so short that any little thing can trigger it. It's just like a situation where an atheist, someone who doesn't believe in God, fell sick, and their sickness has defied any medical explanation. The doctors say they do not know what the problem is. If you went and sold prayer or Jesus to that atheist, you'll be surprised that the atheist will say amen, because there is nothing else to try. He will not say amen because he has suddenly believed in God. He will just say amen because he just wants solution. Let me say amen and then we'll talk about belief later. That is the problem with Nigerians. Any little thing that seems like a solution to our problem or to our trauma, we just rush without thinking, you know. Now they are talking about state police. I wanted to just keep quiet and watch how it goes, but I just couldn't. So I have to talk about state police. It is very important, and I've been saying this all the time. It is very important to understand the historical aspect to every phenomenon, apart from which you will miss it. Why was the police created in the first place? I have spoken about it. I would share the link, I'll add the link to this video so that you understand what you're facing. The police was basically created to serve the interests of the ruling class. As at the time of the creation of the police, it was the colonial masters who were the ruling class. They created the police to serve their interest, to clamp down on citizens who want to revolt, colonialism, or oppression, or any form of injustice. That's the sole reason for the creation of the Nigerian police, from where the Nigerian army was created. Now, at what was called independence, those colonial masters left Nigeria. But the truth is that the systems they created never left. Those systems are still in place and running. The police system, for example, is still being operated for the exact intent it was created. The difference is that right now it is indigenous leaders like Nnamdi Azikiwe, Obafemi Awolowo, Obasanjo, Goodluck Jonathan, Buhari, and currently Tinubu. It is indigenous leaders who are in the ruling class. So what changed is the color and the origin of the ruling class, not the intention of the institution. But as long as the intention of that institution remains the same, the outcomes would not change. So, as they are about to create state police would only serve the interests of the ruling class at the state level. It is you who is mistaking it for provision of security. It is you who is mistaking it as an institution that protects life and property. If the police were to actually protect the lives and property of Nigerians, why is there insecurity all over the country? And then you will see police officers only focusing on Yahoo boys, only focusing on people with dreadlocks and men that put earpieces. In fact, they even profile bird gangs. If you have birds just like I do, you start looking like a suspect. Is that the protection of lives and properties? Is that provision of security? But the moment you just said you want to revolt against the hike in fuel prices or school fees or unemployment, you will see when the police will start working perfectly, because that was the reason they were created. You did not see how the DSS bundled Omoyele Sowore out of court. How many DSS, the next time they brought him to court, DSS officers, so many of them were following him to the toilet because he wanted to ease himself. That is why they were created, to clamp down on you, to give you injustice and get you to shut the hell up about it. We are just being distracted by government, and unfortunately, we Nigerians, we think less. We mostly do not think, or we think according to the level of how we've been oppressed. So the only thing that has been in our minds, that have beclouded our minds, is oppression. So that's how we think. If not, you should ask yourself, why is the focus on state police? The state governors are so in love with this creation because they know what they want to use it for. You know, how many state governors in the history of Nigeria have been able to balance their state budget? How many presidents in the history of Nigeria have been able to balance the federal budget? Why are we not talking about budget balancing? Budget balancing is simple. Income matches expenditure. If you are spending 5 million naira, for example, be sure to generate 5 million naira. There are countries that are even talking about budget surplus, as in they want to spend 5 million naira, but they are generating 10 million naira. But in Nigeria, the people you choose to become your leaders, to become your governors, to become your presidents, the people who are focused on state police, are people who will spend 5 million naira while they generate 500,000 naira. So the rest of the monies are taken as loans from maybe the IMF or the World Bank. Recently, your president was looking towards the United Arab Emirates to borrow money to come and spend. People borrow money to invest. Your country borrows to spend. And rather than talking about budget balancing, we are busying ourselves about state police that is not aimed at targeting insecurity. See, if you looked around Nigeria, everything about Nigeria is revenue generation. In fact, Nigeria is a revenue generation. It is only in Nigeria that students will pay fees of 50,000 naira this semester. As they are coming back next semester, sometimes it is when they are on their way back to school that it will be announced that the school fees is now 150,000 naira. They've already given their 50,000. Now they will send a phone call to their parents. Daddy, our school fees is now 150,000. They will pay. It is only in Nigeria that the last phone that you made use of, you bought it for 200 naira, and the next phone you are buying the next day is sold for 500, 700, 1,000 naira, and you will buy. I've not been to a lot of countries. I've been to just a few countries. So most of you have traveled widely. So, and they say traveling is a part of education. So, but for the few countries I've been to, there is none that has the opportunity of generating income as much as Nigeria does. There is none of those countries that you go to bed with the price of fuel for 200 naira and wake up and it is 800 naira and people just buy. For those of you that have traveled widely, maybe you can say that there are countries you've seen like that. It is only in Nigeria that you are running a kiosk. You're selling indomie and egg, key soup, you know, petty trader. And then you have a waste bin. Maybe you got a waste basket, a very big one, where you put your debt. But the government will still come with a very small plastic container and give to you as waste management, whatever, waste bin with an emblem or a sticker on it. And they're asking you to buy it for 10,000, 20,000 naira. That container safe no fit contain the waste wey you dey generate in a day. But they will ask you to, and you would even be showing them a very big waste bin you've already gotten. They'll say, no, that one na your own, this one na government own. If you refuse to buy, they will close your shop. And you are in a union, or matter, and your union will go and say, let's pay. Nigeria is an income or a revenue generation. But when these revenues are generated, they are never enough for the government to steal. So the government will still go and borrow to steal. We don't talk about all of those kind of things. We are focused on state police. But then, for those of you who are in love with state police, because I've been seeing everybody making a case for state police, and I laugh. There is the concurrent list. The exclusive list is for things that the federal government alone have jurisdiction over, like police, apart from now that they want to decentralize it. The military, the currency, foreign policy. Those are areas where only the federal government operates on. Then there is the concurrent list, where both federal and state governments can play around with. It has a lot of things like education, agriculture, health. It has a lot of things. So they now have federal ministries, and then they have state ministries. Even the federal ministries will have federal ministers. They will still have federal ministers of state. So if you looked at federal schools, you look at federal hospitals, you look at roads that were created by federal government, look at federal ministries, look at employment, federal jobs. You can also look at the INEC, this INEC that is as bad as anything. And then look at their state counterparts, like state roads, employment from the state, like state salary, state schools, state hospitals, SINEC, as in State Independence, is it SINEC or SAEC, whatever, State Independent Electoral Commission. A lot of Nigerians do not know that INEC has the state, the one for the state. Where is it to be found? So if you compared both, which one is worse? Because I wouldn't ask you which one is better, because you do not talk about Nigeria in the positive light. Everything about Nigeria is negative. And I am sorry to say it, but it's the truth. Between those federal and state activities or realities, which one is worse? You as a person that is pushing for state police, between state jobs and federal jobs, which one would you want to take? Everybody say, I want to get a federal job. I want to get a federal appointment. I want to go to a federal school. If, for example, you fell sick and you are on an emergency, between a federal hospital and a state hospital, which one will you prefer to be taken to? That will start giving you a rethink over state police. But you think the state police will be different from those other areas that have been managed by the state that are worse than those of the federal government. We are just recreating problems. But then, sorry, excuse me. If someone came to your organization in search of an employment, it is our tradition that we will ask for their CV or their resume, where we will look at what they've done before that concerns that employment position. We'll look at their history, their employment history. We would like to employ they'll say come with 5 years experience. And then they'll check how well you've done. Sometimes they even go ahead to call those places you've worked before to be sure you are fit for the job. Now that we want to hand police over to the state governors, how far did state governors fare with security votes? They used to call themselves the chief security officer of the state. And that is because of the security votes. Security votes run in billions of naira. What has any state governor done with the security votes? Enough for us to trust them with an entire police organization. What? I am not against state policing. Don't get me wrong. State policing is a wonderful thing. Decentralization of power, decentralization of authority. It is not just state policing. The government is too centralized. Every other aspect of the government, I support that they should be decentralized. But then, it must be on a people-oriented system. As long as the system has not been fixed, going ahead to decentralize the government would simply mean decentralizing the problem. Impunity is the order of the day in Nigeria, and you are decentralizing the police. You are decentralizing the impunity. We are going to miss SARS. The SARS that we did, the EndSARS we did in 2020. State police will push us to where we will, just like during Muhammadu Buhari, some people started chanting, bring back our corruption, as in bring back Jonathan, who Buhari was calling the epitome of corruption. It is the same way Nigerians will be shouting, bring back our SARS, end state police. It doesn't make sense until it starts happening. You see, the major problem of Nigeria right now is insecurity, human or personal insecurity. That's the biggest problem we have. And that insecurity is majorly championed by terrorism and banditry. But if you looked at the fight against terrorism and banditry in Nigeria, you will see that it is the military that is fighting it mostly. It is the military, especially the army. So if you are saying the creation of state police is to improve our security, and our major security challenge is coming from terrorism and banditry, and the people who are addressing or who are trying or who seem to have the responsibility to address that are the military. At what point are we supposed to be diverting to state police? I don't know if you get it. This thing is just distraction, because it is not the police that is going into the forest. It is not the police that is going into, what's that place in Borno State? Into those thick forests, to attack the terrorists and the bandits. It is the army that is doing so. So why is the talk about state police? What will state police come and do? Why are we not talking about the military? Rather, the military recently raised an alarm that repentant Boko Haram members or terrorists are to be recruited into the army, and they are saying no to it. Why state police at the point where it is the military that is challenging the insecurity? I know that the police have the MOPO, the Mobile Police Unit, that once in a while join the military in the field. But the state police that we are talking about is not the one that will be wearing green colored combat pants. It is the black and black people. So why are we shifting the attention from military, that are the ones that has been seen to want to challenge the insecurity, to state police, when the police are not involved? The police is basically for civil matters. It's civil matter. The cause of the insecurity in Nigeria. Is Boko Haram a civil matter? Is banditry a civil matter? So why are you recruiting or creating state police for civil matters when there is insecurity that the military is facing? And then you're saying state police is to improve the security of the country. Something is fishing, and Nigerians are refusing to see it. Or will the state police now take over the job of the military and go into the forest to challenge the bandits and the terrorists? If so, why is the current federal police not doing it? Because they are not state police. I don't know if you get what I am saying. But then, the Inspector General of Police, for example, if his child was kidnapped and taken to the bush, you will see how functional this our current federal police is. It's just that you don't know. I have been involved in one or two cases that had a police operation, and I saw how efficient they were with their operation, if it's really affecting them. But it will not happen that the police will need to send their men into the forest to rescue the child of the IGP, because the child of the IGP is probably in Europe or America. I'm just saying. So you can't find them. Now me and you wey dey available for Boko Haram or bandits or kidnappers to carry because we are not important. If the government want to fix insecurity, they know exactly what to do. They are not fixing insecurity today. It is not because they can't. It is because we don't matter. When the insecurity start touching them, they will not be talking about state police. They will be talking about the military putting their boots on the ground and fixing insecurity. Complete decentralization of government is a welcome development, but not in this current system that we are running. We are just deceiving ourselves. Between decentralization of the police and decentralization of industry, decentralization of the economy, which one will fix insecurity more? Don't you know that poverty, hunger, and starvation are the reasons for insecurity? As big as Nigeria is, they have just one functional port, Lagos. The one in Port Harcourt is just like film trick, but there are bodies of water everywhere. So for you to, if you are importing biscuits and you are living in Kogi, one village in Kogi, but you are a biscuit importer, you will have to move from Kogi to Lagos to clear your goods. What happened to Onitsha? What happened to Calabar? Why are you centralizing the ports, but you choose to decentralize the police? They are doing all these things because they know that we are going to challenge them. So when you challenge them to the point where the challenges become unbearable, they send the state police. The state police now is closer to you. State governors, oh my goodness. I'm not the one that will tell you about the challenges that will be faced by Nigerians as a result of the creation of state police, but I am asking you to look at it. Is that really where the problem is? What's the cradle of relevance? Unless the system is fixed, whatever you decentralize, anything you say, if it's decentralize anything, it equals decentralizing everything. As you're decentralizing police, you are decentralizing brutality, you are decentralizing violence, state violence, you are decentralizing theft, you are decentralizing criminality, you are decentralizing oppression. There is nothing you are not decentralizing. You are decentralizing corruption. And above it all, you are decentralizing impunity. How many police officers have you seen that committed crime against the people they were asked to protect, that went in for it? It just happened the other month in Efurun, Delta State. To the view of everybody, a police officer shot an innocent person to death. And up till this moment, nothing has been done. That's in the federal. Now they are bringing that police brutality to your doorstep. So now you do not need to travel far, you do not need to walk so far. You do not need to walk to the junction before you are brutalized by police. Just by your doorstep, they have come to be with you. I have said my own. You can go ahead and have your state police. One thing I have noticed is that those of us who do not want to allow these things to happen, it doesn't happen to us. It is you who is welcoming it. it is you it will fall on. Take care.